Welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Dragons Waterdeep Dragon Heist 5th edition. Hopefully sound is all good and everyone's cool. So yeah, we're trying out some new stuff today, at least at my end, and hopefully things work out. So, hi everybody. I'm Valen. I'll be the dungeon master for you guys today, and we'll start off with some little introductions there. In the top middle there, we have Robin.
Vern Wrecker, human who can actually see in the dark, finally.
Congrats.
And then next to him, we have the monkeys, Lissa and Mr. Monkey. who just dropped out briefly, but they're back. Their camera is currently inoperable. But we have the monkeys. I hope so, at least.
Sorry, he's laughing. I accidentally hit the leave. Sorry about that.
Run away!
I am Goodness, okay. And we got a caster. I am Natea Cloudbane. I am now a Azamar Vengeance Paladin. And then we have this guy over here who is made
It's getting very large.
Okay. You are?
Smoke on the Horizon, level 3 rogue, who's had a very powerful dream and has become an arcane trickster.
I feel a lot of trouble coming up.
And then next to them, we have Kashka.
I'm playing Graffola, a deep gnome warlock who has recently acquired a rather creepy looking grimoire.
Indeed. I think when last we left off, you guys were on, you just finished a quest. You're pretty much headed back to Troll Skull Alley. We'll say that you guys went there, and you kind of chilled for like a day or so. You all ended up leveling up at this point, to be out of game, of which I would assume that therefore you each reach your own epiphanies or new abilities. You've discussed things over the past day or so, and you have your in-house cook who is still there and still making meals for you, and still no sign of this ghost. At least no reports as of yet that once inhabited your house. So, upon, I don't know, like I said, a day or two from there, there is a knock on the door, and it is probably, I'd say, midday. You guys haven't been up to too much, been doing a bit of cleaning around the place, picking up some more stuff, trying to basic repairs that you have with what is available without spending any money so far, just still general cleanup of the place. So,
I guess I'll go over and answer the door.
And you have a certain boisterous person who has sold you guys on many an adventure so far.
No.
Graffola, the door's for you.
Can I just kind of walk over and bat it shut?
Weird thing. I am 100% blanking on the guy's name right now. It is Volo Thamp Geddard. There we go. But Volo is at the door, and he seems rather patient and just standing there and says, hello, I was in the neighborhood, and I thought that I might stop in and see if you all had figured out what you'd like done with the manor house, as Lord Neverember has asked, that I see if I can obtain some discounts with my connections for you to fix the place up, he said. did you have an interest in pursuing this, or am I done here? And he seems ready to leave. He hasn't even asked to be invited in or anything like that.
Well, why don't you come in and see what we've done with the place so far? I just grab him by the arm and kind of pull him in.
and he kind of like like the smile kind of washes off his face a bit, and he's like, "Oh yes, of course, I would love to." And he seems to be straining to say that a little bit there, but he enters in and says, "Oh, actually, he seems to have at least picked up all the refuse laying around and give a good spit polish on what there is here." Yes, but yes, I was curious if you wanted to pursue, like, reopening your establishment. I did do some of the legwork for it, and I have pricing available if you have an interest.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Good idea.
Well, that's the thing, is that I'll be doing a lot of the work. I'm not exactly enthusiastic about it, because I thought that this place was, out of my hands at this point, but as Rainer has asked me to take care of this, I can't really turn him down. Anyway, did you want to pursue reopening this as a tavern and fixing it up?
Yes, actually, we would like to do that.
He says, well then. So, let me tell you what I have come up with and what I'm able to work out for you. Because currently, if you continue on with this place, you will end up needing to pay maintenance of the place and so on for, your usual taxes and whatnot.
Oh yeah, that part's really easy to take care of. We have people for that.
Oh, you do? And he seems...
Oh yeah, we got all kinds of connections. We just need your help a little, just a tiny bit.
Oh, all right. Well, at least good to know that you're not worried about going further into any kind of debt or anything. It's always the crusher of many a man's spirit. But
Say, no, this place is just the gift that keeps on giving.
He says, "Well,
I just kind of like rub my shoulder where my gray hand pin is. I was like, yeah, it's really, and look around. It's interesting, huh? How weird, you talk to people and get to know."
He says, "Yes, well, that is kind of what I've been doing, actually, and why I haven't been seeing much of you as of late. Did you want the final details, or would you prefer a nice summary of what I've obtained?"
Give us everything you got.
Right, well, let's see. Repairs to the walls and roof require approval and oversight of the Carpenters, Roofers, and Plasterers Guild. The Cellars and Plumbers Guild is best equipped to handle the refurbishing of the basement and plumbing. Clean bed sheets are provided by the Launderers Guilds. Streets around this establishment are kept up by the Dung Sweepers Guild and the Loyal Order of Street Laborers. Meat must come from the Guild of Butchers, ale and wine from the Vintners, Distillers, Brewers Guild, bread and pastries from the Bakers Guild, and the list goes on. But
No.
of course, there's also the...
Just no.
There's also the one-time fees of the continued work of just getting this place up and working with what do you call a handyman here in the UK? A joiner?
That's a carpenter.
Carpenter. Okay, just a carpenter. All right. So he says basically you'd need them to get this place up and running. So total, it was going to be 1,250 gold pieces, and a matter of 12 days. Now, I was able to swing with Rainer, and apparently you have some sway with Miss Blackstaff, if I'm not mistaken. She was able to waive some guild license and contracts fees for you, which was quite extensive in the amount that it would reduce the price. But it was going to be down to 1,000 gold pieces total for all of those to get in place. I hear somebody rolling something. Ah, yes. It's funny because it actually has it listed on here as like gold pieces as well. It'd be nice if they converted it for me. But yeah, 1,000 dragons is what it would cost to have this pretty much set up. Originally it was 1,250, but I was able to, well, not me, but more or less through your connections, plus those that I talked to, we were able to get it reduced to 1,000. Now, as far as hirelings and maintenance, you might want to put out some kind of word on the street for getting some people in here, but that they typically will be about, on average, 50 gold pieces per 10 day for hirelings and stuff to run the business for you. Obviously, you already have a cook, but I think she was more of a personal one, if anything, but she has experience running a tavern as well. And then, of course, there's your guild fees, but I've been told those have been waived as well. Which, those are only about 10 gold pieces per 10 day. But hey, who am I to judge? Anyway, it's so... Did you want me to pursue this? Of course, it would be paid not to me, but to those people that would be involved in the renovations. And I would have them come by first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that sounds good.
He kind of looks at Natea during this because he knows that you signed the contract for the place. And he says, all right then, I'll have them start coming in, let's say, shall we, 10 a.m. We'll have the first guild members stop by to sign contracts for you on the renovation of your new manor house.
I kind of lean in and go, how are we going to pay for this?
Do we have to pay up front?
Well, that all depends on the guild representative. Most of them do require a certain percentage up front, and then they the rest of it once the job is completed. For the most part, it tends to be around 15 to 25% up front, in my experience at least.
Okay.
On rare occasions, you might be able to avoid that altogether, but as you're new to the area and you don't have any current households, I would guess that they might require the full 25% up front. Even with your connections. Alright. So he says, well then, unless there's anything else, and he starts getting up.
I'm like looking at the others. Do we have enough money for this?
And he starts heading for the door. I'll just show myself out. Ta!
I see you.
And he just heads out.
I guess we better go find some jobs to do, huh?
So, pulls out pouch. How much you guys got?
Suddenly everybody starts checking character sheets.
What are the silver 52 sun?
52? I got 20.
I'm 26.
That would put it pretty darn close.
Yes, it is. I'm gonna be lazy, I'm just gonna calculate in game.
I don't think you guys cashed in all your silver bars either. If you really want to start doing that.
Oh, that's true. I got 4 of those.
Yeah, we still have 6 silver bars.
So we got 10 of those. Grifola sold all hers, if I recall.
I don't have any, so
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
I look at you, I'm like, you think Grifola is holding on to some silver in those little pockets?
There's always a possibility.
Narrow my eyes a little.
I am a bad person for names today. It's like I've got everybody's names except for those that I keep on thinking of that I didn't plan for. Gosh. What's the name of your barmaid again?
Bonnie.
Bonnie. Bonnie the barmaid. God darn it.
Bonnie the best.
All right. So,
Actually, looking at my money, I might actually have enough to. No, we're one dragon short.
one dragon short.
Not one dragon. One sun short. Wrong number.
One sun
Wrong
short.
word. Yeah, because I have.
That's 10 gold
9
pieces.
dragons and 10 of the other thing, which is 5 per sun.
Mhm.
Or not sun, dragon.
Mhm.
Or they're gonna be confused big time. So in a sense, we have 99 suns.
Mhm. And several silver bars. Silver bars.
And silver bars are in currency.
Silver bars. Yeah, but I'm sure that you could probably sell them.
How long ago did we sell our silver bars?
It's probably been about half a 10-day. And yes.
A 10-day, 5 days.
No, a 10-day is 10 days.
I mean, 5. I meant half a 10-day.
I mean, we can go over by like the tower area, right, where the merchants are and stuff, and find bank.
Bonnie comes out and she's serving you guys some lunch at this point. And excuse me. Pretty much, just so you guys know, every time that it's like pretty much your guys are done with your dinner, she heads out and goes back home. So she pretty much works like an 8-hour shift, like around like in the morning to about 5 p.m. She makes sure that you guys are set with the meal, and then she heads out. Unless, you guys need her to stick around or something like that, but...
Okay, well, we can always go and see if, like, one of these people have a job to do. I mean, or we can just let Smoke loose on the city and see what he comes back with.
We are not letting Smoke go into the city.
I mean, how?
Is this the city?
I mean, I don't know if anybody buys feathers, but
Yeah, he's the only one.
How are we gonna afford to like keep up this place? Like, I mean, he's talking about like employees and paying them 50 gold, and I don't know.
That's gonna be the hard part to start with.
I need Smoke to make a perception check. Actually, it would be Griffola as well. Probably would have been her to begin with, but he gets sniff checks where she doesn't. Oh my gosh! Okay.
One high, one low.
So, Griffola, as you're saying this, you actually smell freshly baked muffins, and it's not coming from your place.
We can just steal food from the place down the street.
How about we use them as opposed to going through other means for a cheaper price, maybe? It'll avoid, city watch after us.
Bonnie comes in and says, "Do you mind if I join the conversation?"
Sure.
Sure, Bonnie, sit down, have a seat. I just push a chair out with my foot.
She
How
pulls
many
a chair.
chairs do we have?
She pulls a chair up that she was able to salvage from the attic. So you have like one mismatched chair to the others, but you have one more chair than you had before. And she pulls it up and she says, "I hope you don't mind me saying, but I kind of figured since I've been working here with you guys and how my wages are paid by other members, that I don't know, I've got a little bit of experience in helping run a tavern here, and I might be able to help you out. I could probably, maybe get some more workers for you guys. I'm sure I could get them at a decent price. I realized that Mr. Volo there said it was probably around 50 gold for a full tavern staff. I reckon I might be able to do it for 40. And from what we're making at the other tavern I was working at when I met you guys at the Yawning Portal, if you even, it would be a fraction that you'd be making here. So it would appear that you'd probably be making it well on 3 times that in this neighborhood, at least, per 10 day, I would imagine. Now, I did see that there was another tavern just up the block here, and he had a lot of patrons in there that, I don't know, they looked a bit sketchy to me, but I think they might give us a little bit of a run for the money, but I don't think that we'll actually have much competition. Might be a good idea to actually drum up some like commercial something or other, put up some posters or tell a few people about the place before it opens as well.
Okay, get a tailor. We're gonna put a mark of the store on Grifola's back.
Grifola makes a rude hand gesture and wanders off.
But she says, "You guys have been really nice to me, and I understand the situation you're in this place. So I'd be more than willing to help you out if you don't mind. I've got a few friends I could call in to try and, help you out. Get you started at least until we can get a full crew."
That would be good. Best idea though is we should probably get this place looking a bit better, and then we actually get them.
Right. Well, like I said, I'll work over the next 10 days or so to see if I can get y'all a bunch of employees to start up. So he said it would take about 12 days or so. After you talk to the people in the morning, I imagine you'll have an end date when everything will be ready, and then you could probably open up shortly after. So once you've got a date, then we could have everybody start coming in. Maybe we have them come in like a day early just so we can get all that sorted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That work
sounds
well.
good.
She says, right, okay. I'll get in touch with some of my people over the next few days and see what I can come up with for you. I don't have a ton of contacts, but I do know a few people that can help.
Hey, whatever help.
Bonnie
work
has
well.
people.
She says, they're really my sisters.
Oh.
She goes, not physically, but, and she goes, anyway. And she kind of blushes while she's saying this, and she just kind of like backs off and heads back into the kitchen again to continue cleaning up the lunch that she served.
That'll help a good amount to start with.
Yep.
So, anything you guys plan on doing further today?
Not sending Smoke out into the town by himself.
Right.
He could take care of himself. I mean, he took care of himself before I came along, I think.
We don't need city watch coming at us.
Are you guys sending Smoke into the town to go steal you stuff? Or are you sending him out into the town to
We are
sell
the
some
city
silver
watch.
bars, or what? Is he gonna be busking on the street?
Pretty sure us
I'm
leaving him on our.
investing.
Pretty sure leaving him unattended would include probably stealing, murder, and many unspeakable stuff.
Right. Okay.
Grifola's just kind of quiet. She's like, this whole thing is settling in, and she's not sure how she feels about this. It seems like a lot of responsibility suddenly, and she's not too sure she's into that. So she's probably just gonna go back to bed.
All right. So, unless I hear something from Smoke saying that he's going to do something specific, I'm going to proceed on, if you guys are all right with that.
No, he's not going to do anything.
All right. So next morning comes, a series of guild representatives shows up at your house, more or less all at about the same 15 minutes. And they just kind of pour in, and Bonnie was pretty much prepared for it. She just set up something so that there would be enough like tea and coffee for everybody, and that there'd be like some kind of general soup should people be wanting it, because it is first thing in the morning. And they all pour in, they all tell you everything that they would be working with, just restoring it, building this, taking care of that, and so on. And they pretty much all ask for about 25% up front for the full repairs, and it should be done, as Volo said, in about 12 days. Just to kind of sum it up, so you guys don't have to individually deal with the meat guy and the guy who does the beer and stuff. So if you guys are cool with that, then I'll just snap my fingers and make it so.
Thanks, Jean-Luc.
Yeah, anytime. All right. Well,
25%.
yeah. So that would be 250 dragons, or 25 sons. Yeah. And more or less, they pretty much take off, and some of them are coming back that night. They pretty much tell you that it's best if you don't stay on premises while the renovations are being done. And with that, Raynor actually has a messenger show up at some point during the day as well, and says that, I understand Volo stopped by and you guys are starting the renovations. You're welcome to use my place if you need a place to sleep. Just as a reminder. And I think you know that he had mentioned it before, but also that it was potentially being watched regularly. But at least he's trying to be a neighbor.
I'm up for that.
Okay. All right.
And just to confirm the might thing.
Yeah.
So it's 25 sons.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put 10. So you guys 15.
I'll
you want
put
me to
10.
give you how much? 15?
Between you, Kashka.
I'll put 10 in.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I put
So-
5.
Okay.
Okay. So then pretty much everything starts up with that. Bonnie says, I don't think that you'll actually be needing my assistance while you're staying at Raynor's. He's got his own servants there. So I'll be working on getting people set up for you guys here. If you need to get in touch with me, though, you can just, the Yawning Portal. It's actually where I stay. So, all right. And she just kind of gathers the things that she had set up at your place of any kind of value and takes that along with. And she says, don't worry about any kind of like pots and pans and stuff. I'll be bringing them back once everything's good to go.
I give her 2 silvers and tell her, get you something nice and whatever else you need that you're gonna need.
And she seems a bit like blushed about it and says, oh, thank you. And she heads off.
I look at everybody and I'm like, okay, what do we do now? Let's go see if there's any wanted posters, or let's go pick a fight and tell them we're the
Let's not
law,
pick a
and
fight.
I don't know.
Actually, as Bonnie had just left, the door opens back up again. She sticks her head back in and says, oh, I almost forgot. Davil asked that you guys stop by if you had a chance. And then she pulls her head back out and takes off.
Of course, that guy wants to talk
Right.
to us.
Which guy's that?
Davil Starsong, the
The
Zentarum
pretty elf
agent.
guy,
Oh.
pretty annoying elf guy.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that paid you most of your money.
Yeah, he's got money, so I guess we can't really talk crap about him in front of his face. Not can
Just behind
we?
his
All
back.
right. Well, let's go see what kind of money he's gonna give us.
Okay.
All right. So you guys head off to the yawning portal.
Yeah.
Sure.
And pretty much same thing you saw before, minus the older couple leaving. Yagra's there, just outside of this time opened curtains, just kind of standing on the side there. And you guys approach the dark area of the yawning portal, and she kind of brightens up and says, "Hey, we were looking for you. Come on in." And she just kind of holds the curtain aside a tiny bit more than it already was, which was kind of all the way pulled up. And you see Davil's in there, and he's just kind of writing some notes, and he's got a couple of books piled up and a glass of wine. And he just motions.
My girl Yagra.
What's that?
My girl Yagra.
And she's like trying to work out some kind of secret handshake with you at this point.
If she tries to shake my hand, I just scowl at it.
No, not you.
Fair enough. It's a mutual.
The furry guy over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're both about the same height, you know, and she definitely respects the whole stabby nature. Even if you're not as strong, she respects the ability to take someone down nonetheless. So you guys all come in, and Davil kind of motions for you guys to kind of have a seat, and he says, "Forgive me, I'm just finishing up a contract here," and then he does this big swooshy signature, and he kind of puts some powder across it.
Can I see what it is?
Folds it in half.
Before he folds
Make a
it?
perception check.
I'm nosy.
But how does he?
All you could make out on it was his signature on there. And it wasn't even a signature of his name. It looked like it was some kind of like doctor's note, circular scribble scratch of some sort. And there was already a wax mark on the paper, not sealing it shut, just on the paper.
I say, that's your signature?
And he goes,
How
"Well,"
does that even say Davil?
he says it varies, and he just kind of tucks it into the cover of one of the books that he's working on, and just kind of like moves on to business at this point. And he says, "So, I was wondering if the group of you would be interested in perhaps a little delivery, perhaps a paying mission."
What's our delivery?
Well, excuse me. You just need to take an item and give it to another person, and that is it. There are no difficult circumstances for it, short of don't otherwise compromise the item, and that's pretty much going to be it for the
What's the
summary.
item?
Does it sound of any interest? And I will give you more details if so.
Yes, what's the item?
It's not
Is
a person, is it?
No. No.
In a duffel bag?
Just first, not anything living.
No. There's a shop in the trades ward. It's called Weird Bottles Concoctions. The gnome who runs it is a friend of ours. His name is Schemo. And he's made...
Isn't the trade war just over there by a little?
The trade ward is pretty much just south of you guys. It's pretty much surrounding the City of the Dead.
Oh, actually, the place. Okay.
And he says it's a friend of ours named Schemo runs it. And he's made some potions of mind reading for a client. I need you to pick up these potions and deliver them all to the Godcatcher statue. At which it's one of the enormous statues in the castle ward. You really can't miss it once you go there. And you need to give the potions to the lady in the purple cloak. And keep the tip she gives you there. That's it. She will be paying you upon completion.
Okay, sounds easy enough. We have a stout little gnome that can carry stuff.
I scowl. Not stout.
He says, very well. That's
How much is she going to pay us?
the in and out of it. Probably like maybe 100 dragons or so, maybe more, I would imagine. I mean, that's the
Right.
minimum going rate.
Why would she pay so much?
Potions of mind reading. They're not exactly something that's normally supposed to be in this area.
So they're shady potions.
Right. I mean, they are primarily going to be used for the better good, but nonetheless, we don't want to raise any red flags as one does.
Griffel, could you
That's because
pull out your
people
map?
are just, meh.
Wait, what's going on?
Could you pull out your map?
Can I what?
Take out the map so we could kind of figure out where everything is.
Oh.
Sure.
And he
Hey,
says,
you know what,
he
map.
says, if you really need to know where it is, you could probably just get yourself a ride down there. I'd imagine it. Any driver knows where it's at.
Yeah, that would probably be easiest. Alright, I guess we'll do it.
At
Let's
some
go.
point, we
One day we'll buy ourselves a car, but not today.
Not this day.
I hear half of what Smoke says, and then I hear Monkey finish the rest of the sentence.
I'm like, okay, we'll do it. Every dragon, every piece of,
Every
every
coin
money,
counts.
every coin counts. I can't talk today, man. So out of it today. Every coin counts, so we'll do it.
All right, and there's that, and then we'll do this. Hold on, I'm actually typing some stuff here for you guys. There we go. That should help you out.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Trade for weird wild person.
Wait, what was the gnome's name? It was like
Schemo?
Griffola.
Sneaker.
Schemo.
Schema.
Ski ball.
Sure.
Who cares about names and what it is? All we gotta do is take stuff from one point to another and collect money.
Well, his name is Schemo Weird Bottle, so his name is actually the name of the place. So.
Wow. Okay, well, let's go. All right. I'm like trying to shuffle everybody out of the room. Let's go. Let's go.
All right. So
Okay.
pretty much, and Yagra kind of like does the secret handshake with Smoke on the way out, which may or may not have actually gotten a little bit flirty in the process.
Shipped.
You're not really sure. Uncomfortable, maybe. I don't know. Up to Smoke to decide on that one.
See you in a bit, baby.
All right, so guys head out, and as usual, I mean, in the district that you're in, over by the Yawning Portal, there are plenty of carriages that can take you around the city and stuff.
So we're just delivery people now.
It's a
The best
simple-
Yeah.
paid
simple-
delivery people.
I'm just going to pay the bills. So I just flag down a cart guy and tell him where we need.
All right, and the first cart guy comes by. What is it that you tell him?
We need to go to the weird bottle place.
And he says, weird bottles.
Concoction.
I can get you there. All right, and he's like 2 nibs, and he'll take you there. So I'll leave that to.
I'll give him 3 nibs and say, "Here you go. Make it."
Big spender. All right, so guys, he takes you down to Weird Bottles Concoctions, and it's it looks in all essence like a potion shop because there's actually a very large like glass bottle outside, and it says "Weird" above it with a bottle underneath it. And it's got these really bulbous looking glass windows on it that look like they've been altered with magic or something like that, or maybe even a very experienced glass blower. But the whole place looks kind of like it might actually represent, in a strange way, some kind of potion bottle. But you go inside, and a little...
I like these windows. We need these windows on our place.
The bell goes, on the door. There's actually like a bell above the door that ding, 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 ding when you walk in, and the place is just lined with vials everywhere, and they all look like they're like locked down, like little latched areas and stuff, but not like you can't move them. Just like if someone were to fall into a counter or something, they wouldn't go anywhere. So apparently there's familiarity with that, but at least there's plenty of it. And there's an elderly gentleman in there, a gnome who seems to be somewhat balding, and he's got a very long wispy mustache. And he kind of talks with a little bit of like a stuffed nose. But you can't quite tell if it's because he's got a cold or if that's just how he normally talks. And he says, how may I help you today?
I'll walk up to him and I'm like, well, we're here to pick up a package or from...
I have my cloak over my nose and mouth.
Okay.
I don't want to get sick.
Right. So you tell him that you're here for a package, and
Yes.
he just kind of like looks at you and says, "A package? Beg pardon?" Excuse me.
Potions, mind reading, package.
And he like looks really like looks around real quick, and he's like, "Dear Lord, boy,
Griffola like rolls her eyes.
Give her a name.
they'll send anybody these days." And he says, "Stay here, don't say anything." And he just starts heading into the back, and
I just look at everybody. I'm like, this guy. What does he mean? Not send anybody.
You're supposed to have a little bit of couth whenever you're dealing with drugs.
Honesty is not the best policy here.
Maybe a little bit more on the down low.
So he comes back out almost immediately, and he's got like this little chest that he makes it look like it's really heavy. He sets it up on the counter, and because he's a gnome, it's rather large to him. And to Griffola, the rest of you, it seems not that big, but it's still something to carry around. You could carry it under one arm, but it would be a little bit unwieldy. And he opens it up, and he says, "Now, be careful. There's 4 vials in here, and they all need to make it to the destination." And he closes it, and he says, "It's not locked, but..." And he twists this little latch on the front. "That's just to keep it from opening by accident, all right? Here you are. Make haste, please."
Okay. I just pick it up and carry it with me.
All right. And when he opened it and showed you, they looked like they were almost kind of glowing a little bit. Interesting. Okay. Guys head back out, and your driver is still there waiting for you because he hasn't picked up any other passengers yet.
I love that we're just trusting this guy. Just like, maybe they're the potions, maybe they're not. We're just like, sure, we'll
Hey,
take
it's not up to us to ask. Hey, driver, can you take us to the God Catcher statue, por favor?
And he says, "Right." And he starts taking you down there. Anything you guys wanted to do along the way?
Yeah, I want to take the vials out of the big chest
No.
and put them in my pouch.
No.
Wrap it up in cloth. That way,
No.
in case we get stopped, it's like, give us the chest. Here's your chest. jerk, and we still have the goods.
I'm pretty sure they also
I'm
want
not
the
putting
chest.
them in my prison pocket.
I just sit on the chest.
So he's trying to paw for the chest, and you just kind of like pull it away from him, and you like kind of tuck it down the side there and lean up against it. Is that what's going on there?
Yes.
Okay.
Smoke stick to feathers.
And
Hey,
Yargra.
I'm just thinking that our best fighter needs to have both of their hands free.
We're
and if
not allowing you
anything
to keep your
happens-
feather in the good chest.
No, I'm just trying to make sure we get our money. Like, I know how to do this stuff. I'm the rogue here.
All right, I need
He's got a
each.
point.
That's a good point.
He does have a point. I need each of you to make a perception check real quick.
Brother.
All right, is that Lissa or Mr. Monkey that made the first perception?
That's the smoke.
Okay. Okay.
Just
I
one
think
good
it's
roll
two.
for me today. That's it. That's all I get.
So, Natea, you notice that there is one of those little paper birds is currently flying out that window right next to you of the carriage. And it seems like it's trying to keep up with the carriage, and it's struggling. And it's trying to get into you, but there's like there's a window, so it can't get in.
I'm like, whoa, hey, slow down for a second. And I open the little door.
As you open the little door, it just darts in real quick and just
Whoa.
splats against the wall and turns into a piece of paper and just starts fluttering down.
I'm like, okay, continue on. And I close the door. I was like, so mate, what is that?
You killed it.
At this, you hear the driver say, "What was that?"
Nothing.
He never heard anything. So who grabbed the paper?
I'll grab it.
Okay. So it seems to be a note from Vajra Safar.
Oh, God.
Asking if we have a moment we could stop by. She has another task she'd like us to check, you guys to check out.
No.
If not, then please send back another paper bird to let her know.
How about no to
Alright.
both?
It's like
Seriously.
we make a delivery and you're not using my paper bird.
It's like death by 100 quests. It's crazy.
Well, you guys said no mind talking, so she's trying. She's trying.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It was weird. I was like,
What
well,
was this?
I guess let's get this delivered and get our payment and go see what she wants. And
Wait, when did we have our minds talked into?
It wasn't you. It was actually two of the other party members, and it was,
Okay.
I believe, when you weren't actually here.
yeah, it was me and Griffola. It was really weird, man.
We were violated.
Hey, let's go commit a crime and then go do our cop stuff. Because that's how we do.
It's gonna go so well. All right. So you guys continue on. Any other discussion about the vials before we get you to the statue?
About the vials? No. Hey, I'm not the only one who's a double agent here.
What, you never finished being an agent to begin with?
Did I actually I never remember that.
Yeah, you never reported back to Mert. You guys found the answer.
Just
You-
left him hanging.
Yeah, you just left him hanging. And he was willing to pay you guys as well, but hey, screw that shit. So
Kind of forgot that I was supposed to.
Whoops.
he never gave you a timeline, to be honest. But
So what you're saying is there's still money available.
maybe. It might be in a reduced amount at this point. But so you guys arrive at
Oh, wait. Hang on.
Go on.
Maybe we should, hold on to some of the vials to make sure that we get the correct payment before just handing over all of our leverage.
No, let's not do that. That's how you end up getting shot in the street. Don't you remember Big?
I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea, and I don't want none of I definitely don't want any of you getting a hold of any of these. I just look at Grifola.
What? Come on, they could come super handy with Vaja. What's her name?
One
I
would
think that
want
might be
the
a really bad
vase,
idea too.
the other wants the chest.
I'm like, all right, let's go. Just deliver these and go on our way. I don't want none of this. I don't want to do. I don't know what they're doing with it. I don't want to know.
Evil stuff.
Probably.
That's what they're doing.
We can get you arrested and see if they're using it for torture methods.
I just point at smoke.
I just hop out with the little holding the chest. I hop out of the wagon. I'm like, let's go.
All right, yeah, you're at the Godcatcher then. You're at the Godcatcher statue in the castle ward, and need you guys to make another perception check, another round of perception checks.
No.
See if you can see your target. There's a lot of people there. Some of which seem to be tourists. There are some artists and stuff. All right, so it seems that Riker is able to see a certain person. Perhaps there's a coach in the back behind, like on the far side of the statue, that might have some people in it. You think that there might be somebody in there, but that's the best you got. There's nobody in a purple cloak, actually, that you guys see. Otherwise,
That card over there by the statue looks kind of suspicious. So,
I just pat you on the shoulder. I was like, okay, we'll go find out.
how about only one of us go? Not the one holding the chest?
That's why I'm patting you on the shoulder. Go find out.
Ah, fine. Walked over.
Secret Agent Vern.
God, I hope he doesn't talk to anyone.
So, are you guys holding on to the chest, and he's just walking up to it?
Yeah, I'm holding on the chest under my arm.
Okay. All right, Vern, what you doing?
Walks up to it. Is there anyone outside of the cart?
No, there is a driver up top, and there appears to be a figure inside.
Yup. So talk to the driver. Person inside wearing purple coat.
He just kind of looks at you and says, "Step off."
That went well.
He looks like he's ready to like toss a kick in your direction at this point. 'Cause it's...
Do you enjoy having teeth?
Pointed out. I'm pretty sure you guys sent the worst person with the worst charisma to do this. Hold on. I have a delivery possibly for whoever's inside.
And at this point, I need you to make another perception check.
Perception.
You do see what looks like a female wearing some kind of purple attire inside, kind of looks through the glass window and sees you and actually kind of gives one of these looks. And she seems to look you up and down and then look a little bit disappointed. Like she's looking for something.
So rude. Sorry.
I could say what's in the package, but I'm pretty sure it's not shouldn't be said.
And you see her actually pull this little bell at this point, because you actually hear a bell go off. She pulled a little chain, and the driver says nothing, and he just kind of hits the reins a bit, and the carriage starts to move.
Walks away.
Okay. And she seems to they both seem to just like go out of the area. You guys end up seeing Vern walk up, start having a conversation with the driver, who looks like he's getting really pissed, and then the carriage starts like going off down the block. And he
Doesn't seem to be them.
How fast is it moving?
normal pace.
All right, so you catch up to it.
Yeah, you could probably run, like do a jog to catch up to it, I guess. It's not going very fast or anything. It's more leisurely pace.
All right. So does Vern think that was a person?
Vern?
I said, doesn't seem to be them.
I say, well, no, I'm not chasing anybody down. If they want their stuff, they come to us and get their stuff like they're supposed to.
So, you guys gonna stick around and try looking for more peoples that might fit the description?
Sure.
Okay. Make another perception check round, please. Goodness gracious.
That was Smoke's 25.
Okay. Jeez. Right. So you guys pretty much at this point, Natea stays at the carriage, and you've all just kind of like started spreading out and looking around the place and trying to mingle and stuff. And you guys are not finding anybody that seems to be wearing a purple, burgundy, violet, any shade of purple cloak in the area. There may be somebody with like a couple like a trinket that might have some purple on it or something, but nothing that resembles what you're describing. But we're gonna say that is it Smoke got the natural 20.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
I need you to make an insight check, Smoke. Okay. You saw the carriage leaving, but it seemed like it might just be circling the block.
I think that was her pupil.
Well, then she better get on the ball and come get her stuff before we sell these.
How about we go somewhere that's not quite so in the open of God and everybody?
This is where we were told to go. I'm just gonna take the, I don't know, can we see, is she looking our way? Is she too far away for us to tell?
No, it was just
I have an idea.
From his recollection, it would appear that he was guessing that she was going around the block. So you guys are not in sight of her at this time.
I have an idea.
No,
I have
we
a
are
new
not
spell
using
that
the
I
potion.
can cast that will allow me to send this person a secret message, like a whispered message. So it'd be nice and like private, nice and subtle. No, like, hey, I'm looking for somebody in purple. You know, a little bit more subtle. You know.
Who would do that even? I mean,
The worst person to do it.
So I'm thinking I cast a spell.
Just to confirm, what is everyone else's charisma scores? Because mine's a 1.
You cannot have a 1.
he's got a bonus of 1,
okay.
Yeah.
which means it's above average. And you what's your intelligence of your character?
-1.
Okay, so
Or 9. Yeah, -1. For this
okay,
build.
so it's still not that bad though. Still not that bad.
Honestly, I would probably done that in actual person. So.
I have the highest charisma out of everybody. Alright, I'm like, okay, well, do your weird thing, and if she doesn't answer, then I guess they're ours. I don't know.
So I need to be within 120 feet of the carriage in order to cast this.
Well, everybody get on ours, and I tell the guy, hey, can you kind of pull up real slowly over there by that carriage? And
Are we cruising?
Sure.
Just like cruising in the car.
Sure. So he starts just kind of like heading in the general direction, but he's keeping a distance. He's being smart about it. You've got apparently a driver that seems to been told to do this kind of stuff before, or just doesn't really care and just is happy to be paid. So
I ask him.
That's what I'm talking about.
I ask him if he knows like whose cart that it is.
He's So you're like sticking your head out of the cart to ask him this, or
Can I climb up, like up front with him?
you can, but the cart is currently moving. I'm just letting you know it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
normal for you to open the carriage doors while it's moving. You could like open the window and stick your head out, but you're still talking to him, and
Yeah, yeah. I'll wait for him to stop.
Okay. There's no handy dandy pull chain dingle bell like there was on the fancy carriage that you guys saw, but he seems to just be somewhat close to the other carriage. It's within your spell range.
So when he gets within that range then, and he stops the carriage, then I climb up front with him and ask him, before I cast, I'm going to ask him if he knows whose carriage that is.
And he says, no.
Okay.
They're from a different part of town.
Okay. So then I'm gonna cast the spell, right? So and it's message is the message spell.
Okay.
And I say, please excuse the interruption, madam, but we have a delivery for you.
And someone who seems to be rather well versed in this spell already knows that they can reply. And she says, "Make it quick, please."
Looks like we should have the driver pull up next to their cart. We'll do this on the move.
What?
Jesus.
I think subtlety would be better.
Yeah, it'll be subtle because we'll hang you out the window with the cart. And then you can hand over the chest.
I'm not
put the
subtle.
money in the-
How you guys can make something so simple so complex, I have no idea, but it makes for entertaining situation.
Vern in the first place.
What's that?
We did send Vern first.
I say, well, she's waiting for the delivery now, so you could just like I think you could just like knock on the cart door and quickly hand over, and that would be fine.
Alright, I'm getting out with the chest, and I'll kind of look around and kind of slowly walk over and knock on the door and look at her like...
Before you even are able to knock on the door, you can see that she's looking directly at the chest, specifically that you're carrying through the little window. She opens the top half of the door actually opens kind of like a divided door would. It just kind of swings open, and she has a small pouch in her hand, and she holds her hand out for the chest.
Okay. I hand the chest to put my other hand on the pouch and swap.
She doesn't actually let go of the pouch. She grabs onto the chest lid, flicks the switch on it, opens it, closes the lid, and then proceeds to let go of the pouch and take the chest. Closes the door and signals her driver to go forward.
Like, yeah, nice doing business with you too, madam. And I walk back to the door.
All right. And
Got our money before the cart gets out of view.
I won't do any good. She's gone.
yeah, the cart is already going. It's just not going very fast. It's about the same rate as before.
I'll just get back in ours, and I'll open the pouch and see what we got.
You got 15 suns.
Nice.
I'm like, yay! Well, we got 15 suns out of this deal, so I'll put them in my pouch for whatever else we got. And I guess we should go to Vajera Safar. And I tell the driver where we need.
Thinking about it, actually, from Mert, wasn't he the person who Griffel had put the crow on my shoulder when I walked in?
Yep.
So I did pick up the money there.
You did what?
I did get the money from there. Did I distribute it and I did it fairly because the crow was actually able to see everything?
No, that was whenever we got the contract.
Right.
We never finished the contract.
Yeah. Yeah, that was when you. That's when
Oh,
he
yeah, you're
gave you
right.
the job.
Okay.
So, you guys are off to Blackstaff Tower.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And you head there, and it's the same as before. You know, it's a single tower. There's no illusionary second towers or anything like that. It looks very stable. No glamours. It seems rather just fortified. You know, a fortress in itself. And you guys enter in. Guards let you in straight away. They recognize who you are, and inside you see all the different desks and everything that are everywhere, and people just seem to walk around you as you go, and you can see that Vajra is currently at what you could only presume is her desk, because that's where she was with you guys before, and she's currently working on paperwork, it would appear. She's got her large staff like leaning up against her at the moment as well.
Yep, I'll walk up and I'll say, you asked to see it?
Says, yes, I'm happy that you were able to make it. I hope that my communication method was acceptable this time.
Yes, much better.
He says, all right,
Thank
well, I was curious if you had some time in the next few days here to check out. Sounds a bit silly. There's been sightings of some kind of metallic dragon. Some people described it as either a gold or a copper or bronze or something of that sort. No, not the metallic like red, green, blue, nothing like that. But there was reports of one in the harbor, specifically down at the south end of the Great Harbor by Deepwater Isle. And I was curious if you might be able to, I don't know, check it out. It's startled a few sailors in the area, and
No stabbing dragon.
Honestly, I've heard of dragons keeping toll on islands in the past, and it kind of worries me a bit that it might be trying to make a home here, and doing so. So I don't think that it has any evil intent, but and since it was spotted by sailors and primarily underwater, I thought something like this might come in handy. And she pulls out this little tiny chest, probably about like, I don't know.
I put my hands up.
And she opens it up and she just goes, "Oops, hold on." And she goes into one of her drawers, pulls it out, and she opens the drawer, and there's like this massive quantity of just all these different colored potions. And she reaches in, and they all disappear except for one.
What?
And as she pulls her hand out, the rest of them all reappear. Closes the drawer, and she puts it in the little chest and says, "Here you go." And she closes the chest. "This should help you out. It'll allow you each to breathe underwater for a good hour. I figure since it's mostly been underwater, that would probably be the place that you might need to go. So I thought this might be helpful. But if you could find out its intentions, it would be greatly appreciated."
I'm kind of like reaching for the drawer.
Well, she's currently like she sets the small like chest in your hand, seeing you reaching. Says, "Here you go." So,
Do you have anything that can help us swim?
not so much, but I imagine if you talked to one of the dock workers, showed them your new badges, that you should be able to at least get one of them to take you out there, let them know that you're part of Grey Hands, and they'll most likely just cooperate with you to help you get out to where it was last seen.
We get to commandeer a boat?
Vern looks down at his own armor.
She says, "I really wouldn't go that far. That's usually only under city's emergencies. I would just ask for some cooperation from them, is all."
And what kind of compensation can we expect for undertaking such a time-consuming and laborious task?
Well, she said, well, you
We
would,
are quite busy.
she says, right, and this is why I was asking if you thought you'd be able to manage it in the next few days. If not, I will assign it to someone else.
No. Let's go stop a dragon.
And she's holding her hand out for the small
money?
chest bag.
Money? Oh.
She doesn't
Stop
seem
the
she doesn't.
dragon, we will get money. Dragon got money.
I'm like looking around like it's just us.
It's like,
Yeah, I'm sure we can fit that into our schedule for the next few days.
she says, it's not like I'm asking you to go fight a dragon or something. There's just been sightings of one, and usually they're quite friendly. Just
You are asking us to like hunt around underwater
she says, right, and from the
with
Just-
no aids in swimming or anything like
she says,
that.
from the descriptions of what you're being sent to do, it's much safer than your last job. So seriously, I think that you'll be able to handle it.
We'll go look into it for you. I just look at everybody else and just shake my head. Come on, you guys.
Says thank you, and she goes, oh, lest I forget, and she reaches into the same drawer. It doesn't have potions in it now. It's just got sheets of paper. She pulls out 2 pieces of paper, closes the drawer, and hands them both to Grifola, and says, here, you're probably best for this. It's just some of those little message birds, so should you need to, you can contact me that way.
Do you have a pen?
And
Like
she goes,
a quill?
she
Some
goes,
ink?
I do. And she actually pulls each of those items off the top of her desk.
Okay, I thought you were going to say the same drawer.
Nope. And just kind of hands those to you and says, not a problem, it's standard issue, so I can get some more of that.
I kind of...
And she goes, oh, actually, here, let me get you an ink bottle with a stopper in it. And she just kind of fumbles around and finally finds one in amongst the paperwork on her desk.
I'm just like, okay, Fuller, are you good? You got all your stuff that you wanted? And I just look at you like, come on.
She really bothers me. It's like I'm not your admin. Flapping paper birds.
I just shake my head and here I go. I'm just like, my arms held out and I'm just pushing everybody like towards the door. Like, we'll look into your issue. We'll be back with reports.
How much do you
Yeah,
think
sure,
we can
we're
sell
gonna
these
try.
potions for?
Says thank you, and then somebody else comes up to her and starts talking to her very fervently.
Why are we doing this stuff for free?
It's not
It makes
for
no
free,
sense.
I'm
Like
sure.
everybody else, we're like making money off, but we're like, yeah, we'll do this stuff for free.
Did
Well,
you?
I mean, they're kind of paying our taxes and whatnot, so
Yeah.
So
Though,
far,
Natea, considering what we're wearing,
Yeah, and they're
I'm pretty
paying
sure
your guild
water
fee.
isn't good.
little Miss Guild having person, your expensive fees.
Wait, what?
Your
They're
major
paying
fees.
your guild fees. Remember, you don't
Yeah.
have to pay guild fees.
I'm just gonna quit that guild. That guild sucks.
Why quit? It's free now.
It's not free. She's making us do all this crazy stuff.
don't forget that she got you a 250 dragon discount.
Yeah, that was in return for the first task.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
It's just part of being part of the Grey Hands.
Yeah, see, we're getting perks. And besides,
Mm.
if we get caught making another one
We are
of those,
not going to kill the
horrid
dragon or
liver-
steal from it.
well, if we get caught doing something for Davil, and then we could just flash our badges and get out of there. We're dirty cops. We've got this.
Now that you've had this
Become like the
conversation
dirty
within
cops
the
of
Blackstaff
Waterdeep.
Tower.
Oh,
I'm just like,
That
I'm,
just
like
made
pushing
my
y'all out the door. I'm like, get out the door now. Let's go.
I'm assuming that you were actually already outside when you started talking about this.
Before we was talking about being
Let's
dirty
leave.
cops.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Let's
maybe.
go. I was like, what time is it? I'm looking at the sky.
Hey,
I
it-
really want one of those things that gnome had, or that little guy had.
It's getting
just
close to
realized-
dinner time.
Vern has been getting a good amount of cat hair in his mouth.
Well, I'm steady. Leave me alone.
Which-
Stop biting
Yeah.
smoke.
Like, he can groom himself.
Pushing Vern, you're the one who's short, so I'm in Smoke's back. Well, like,
You're not supposed to lick his fur. He does that on his own.
I just thought you wanted to be my friend. Now
And it got weird.
Alright, it's about dinner time. So it means it'll be getting dark soon. We may not be able to look into the dragon tonight. So,
I'm no good at
because, the
swimming.
dock workers
I'm
are
just saying.
probably coming in about now. Let's go get food. Let's go back to the tavern or the yawning portal because we can't go back to the tavern right now.
oh yeah.
Yeah, let's go back to the yawning portal. Tell the devil guy that that lady was a pain in the ass. He's got something else, and then eat. Go to Rainer's place and sleep, and then to the dragon stuff tomorrow.
All
I
right.
just clap my hands. Break. Let's go.
And you guys travel to the yawning portal. I'm assuming at this point that you're all on board with that. And you find that your food and lodging is actually on the house when you get there.
Yeah, see? Underworld paid.
Much more than what's her name.
I just shake my head. I'm like, sit down and eat. I'll go see Devil. So I'll find a table and then tell them to sit down and eat, and I'll go find Devil.
Okay. And you do that, and you don't see Yagra and Davil in their dark corner like usual. You just see a lot of other patrons. The curtains are fully back, and there's some other people in that area.
I just shake my head. I'm like, well, okay, fine. So we'll go back to the table and be like, well, they're not there. I guess we'll eat and then go wherever we need to go.
Okay. And you actually see Bonnie is currently serving at this moment.
Bonnie!
And she's happy to see you too, and she says, how have you guys been going? I haven't been back to the place to see it yet, but I figured, I was just trying to pick up a few coin while I'm here and talk to some of the people while I'm at it, kind of nudge them into it. I think I might have at least a couple of cleaner folk. I don't think that I've been able to convince any of the staff here to come along with me, but I still have my sisterhood that I can bring along, at least temporarily, until we can get some other people on board.
You are the very best. See, I've been telling them since day one, we need to get you to run this place.
And she gives you a wink and continues on, because she's not actually serving your table, though.
Okay, I guess we'll sit and eat and I don't chit chat about whatever, and then we'll go to Rainer's place to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You were informed upon entering that you do have room and board here if you so desire.
Okay, we might as well stay here then.
Yeah, are they the nice rooms?
They are the nice rooms. One for each of you, actually.
Oh yeah, sweet treatment.
Like, good, one furless night. That's great.
You say that now till you get cold without me rolled up on your feet.
I just see a 7-foot tall cat curled in a ball at someone's feet and the screams.
All right, so you guys pretty much finish up the rest of the night, turn in for early morning, wake up in the morning, have yourself some breakfast, which again is on the house. And there you go. You guys heading on out or what?
You know what my favorite food is? Free food.
Good for you, Smoke.
Yeah, I think I'm like, okay, are we ready to head for the docks?
Yeah, you see, like, Graffola was, like, stuffing her pockets with, like, the free pastries until she realizes that you're about to go swimming, and then she's, like, full of regret.
What I'm wondering is how all these folks in metal armor are going to do in the water.
Kind of just standing around with
We'll
armor.
see. We'll see.
Should I not? Should I not? Just kind of debating.
Alright, well, we'll see what happens when we get there. Who knows? Maybe it'll pop its head out of the water and talk to us. Anybody speak Draconic, by the way?
No.
Oh, wait, hang on.
Maybe well, maybe it's a thief.
Oh, no, that's just reading. No.
Okay.
Yep, no, okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to sign language this thing or something.
I mean, usually they're pretty smart, right? They can speak, like, other languages.
Yeah, sometimes. But, I don't read a lot of books, but I think they do sometimes. So let's just go see what we can figure out.
Okay.
I guess I'll catch a carriage guy. Tell him we need to go to the docks by the closest, what is it? Closest to the isle, right?
I am not going to don my armor. I'm going to go without armor.
All right.
You're taking off your your armor.
Well, that thing's going to drown me.
Well, it's gonna, well, I mean, it, okay.
Wait, water breathing? No.
Hey, it'll last an hour. That's going to end up drowning me.
Well, we'll see what happens. You might want to take your armor with you or wear it while we're on the boat.
You can always, like, climb back up the anchor chain.
Sorry, I missed what you said there.
I'm saying Vern could always, like, climb back up the anchor chain.
All I heard was climb back up the anchor chain. Sorry.
More or less that was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just go with that.
We'll just attach a rope to you and tie it off to the boat, and then drag you along like bait to the shallow end.
All right. So you guys head down to the dockward, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you're at the dockward. She had
Just-
mentioned
I did
something
put on my
about
armor.
what's that? Okay, yeah.
Just to armor on.
What's that? You do have your armor on?
I do on it.
Okay. You're down at the dockward, at the docks, and you're on Dock Street. Of all the streets. Let's say you are actually about here.
Okay.
I'm pinging. Yeah, there you go.
I'll look around, and I guess I look at Vern. I'm like, I'll talk to somebody. And
Best idea ever.
I'll look around, and like the first sailor I see, I'm like, hey, first ship. I'm like, who's the captain of the...
And they point to somebody out on one of the ships. There's like a fishing vessel right there. Looks like they're actually loading up for the morning.
All right, I wave him down. I'm like, hey, can I ask you some questions? Do you mind helping us out with something?
He says, well, we've got to get out or else we're going to miss the tide.
Yeah, about that. We need to go out to see that dragon that everybody's talking about. Could you take us out there?
He says,
And I kind of point to my badge. I'm like, we really need to see what's going on to take care of it.
And he says, well, if I take you out there, I'll lose my day's wage. I can't afford that right now. I'm sorry. And he says, but if you try down further on one of the southern docks, then you might have better luck there.
How much did Dave pay?
He says, it's 2 silver a head, and I need my crew. And you see that there's probably around 5 to 7 people, most likely, are probably running the ship with him.
Nope.
I'm like, okay, so I understand. We'll see what we can find. So I guess we'll head south.
Good luck to you. And he seems genuine in what he's saying, at least.
Yep, I'm like, may the fish be plentiful in your boats. Just kind of like awkwardly walk off.
He's currently just moving a whole bunch of tackle right now and lots of like lobster cages and whatnot.
Yeah, okay. I'll look for the next person and see. Same thing. Flag him. Can you
All
help us? We need
So,
to see,
yeah,
the dragon.
You see that there are a lot of vessels down here. Some of which are fishing vessels. Others look like they're set up just to move goods. And there's one where somebody's sleeping in a hammock on the deck. The others,
the one.
That's our guy.
the fishing ones seem like they are currently very busy.
Alright, I'll walk over to the guy that's sleeping and I'll kind of rock kind of shake the hammock a little.
And he kind of like pushes up the hat that's covering his eyes at the moment. And he says, "Aye." And he kind of like opens one eye and says, "What can I do for you?" And he's got a pipe kind of rested across his chest.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, since you don't look like you're a fishing boat, think you might be able to help us out with something. The Grey Hands would really appreciate it.
And he kind of at this point he sits up in the hammock and he just kind of does a big old stretch and says, "Grey Hands, huh? You're trying to throw your weight around. What is it that you need?"
Not trying to throw my weight around, but I could. But I'm not. I'm asking nicely. Would you mind helping us out, taking us out towards the Isle to check out this dragon issue that seems to be going on?
Oh, right. Aye. That's why everybody's all a fluster down here. They all lost their recent fish tackle for the past few days due to the avoiding the sea monster. They've not seen a sea monster before. I could give them a sea monster or two. And the guy, he actually looks really weathered, haggard. He's got a few like old tattoos that seem mostly worn off on him.
I say, I bet you've got some cool scars and interesting stories.
He says, "Aye, that I do." And he like kind of grabs the pipe that almost falls off of his chest at this point, and he puts it in his mouth, and he starts reaching over for like some tobacco to start tucking it in for. He says, "Well, what is it that you need?"
I'm like, "Well, we need to get out there to this dragon, and then we're gonna have to go apparently down and see said dragon." Yeah, we just need some help to get out there. If you don't mind.
He says, "If you like, I know that there's no such thing as a dragon out there underwater of all places."
Yeah, I've really honestly myself never heard of a water dragon, to be fair, but trying to amuse.
So what is it? What is it then?
Yeah, you seem like a knowledgeable young man. You should know. I mean, I'm sure you know what this.
Aye, it's probably just some sea beast he got caught under there, maybe some whale or something.
Maybe it's just in distress and needs help out. I mean, who knows? You help us out, we might be able to get you some compensation for your time.
So you haven't seen it?
Very wisely.
He says, "No, I'm retired. I don't need to go out, but I'll help you." And he looks at all of you and says, "What's your plan? We find
Don't
it.
even ask.
What then?"
We
Well,
stab it.
No, we're not stabbing. They seem to think we should go underwater to check this thing out, but as I look at my armor, I'm like, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, my spells don't work so good underwater either, so it's not great.
Undackers are fun. Let's do this.
He says, "As long as you don't turn my ship here into some kind of war vessel, I mean, I'm not going to be taking on some kind of sea creature, whether it be a whale, dragon, or otherwise."
No, we're not asked to dispatch it. We're actually just asked to basically see what it is, and that's about it.
He says, "All right, well, you can help me out with setting the ship up then, and we'll see what we can find." And he says, "You there with the shiny armor," and he points over at Vern. Says, "You might want to stow that." And then he points at Nate and says, that kind of goes for you too. Usually heavy metals like that, they tend to rust quite well in this kind of water. I've got some dry section here inside. Let me show you. And he shows you like some storage in there, and it's actually quite a nice ship considering. It looks like it once was, perhaps, either a fishing vessel, a tourist, maybe even a little bit of like just merchandise being moved, but it's just a not a bad ship. And
let's roll on the SS Minnow.
Yeah, and he pretty much sets you guys about doing different tasks on the ship to try and get it set and ready. Excuse me, helping him lift this, move that, and then finally you guys are out on your way.
I'm trying to get him to like share some stories while we're doing this. So like, show me your worst scar, kind of thing, and yeah, all that.
He more or less says, just kind of brushes it off, and says, maybe for another time. I don't think that now is a good time for it. Maybe after I've had a few tonight. And he just says, let's go. And you guys start heading out into the harbor. And he says, so whereabouts did you want to go?
Apparently it's been sighted closer to Deepwater Isle, but they didn't really give us a general like area.
Right. Well, we'll head over to the bay area of that. We'll stay clear of the shallows, but we'll see if we can find anything in that area. And he starts taking you guys pretty much just along here and following the coastline. I need all of you to start making perception checks.
Here we go.
Here we
The
go.
dice hate me.
Dice hates.
Oh, maybe no. Oh, they did.
Monkey had the best.
Okay. And actually, do I even have his? I don't. Okay. Let me do a roll 1d20. Okay. So I rolled a natural 20 for I rolled a natural 20 for the your guys driving. So he says, "Aye, over that way," and he points, and you guys probably notice, specifically whoever rolled the 20 of the Lissa Mr. Monkey combo. So you'd probably see it first, but he says there's something in the water up there, and it seems like there was something up there and it went back down underneath, and it was rather large and somewhat yellowish. He says that's not a standard color for a whale.
Yeah, I don't think it would be, but it doesn't look like a dragon either, but who knows?
Well, that's our monster, most likely.
He says, well, apparently we found something of question around here. And he says, well, I'll start pulling in. Do you want me to try anchoring the ship nearby?
Yeah, that would be good.
All right.
What help?
And that is the spot where where you guys saw it. So he starts pulling it up, and he actually anchors the ship just shy of it. And says, well, he weighed anchor, you guys are stopped, and if you guys look, he says, you take care here, and it's actually a rather sunny day, there's not a lot of clouds or anything like that, but the water's rather still, not a lot of wind or anything. You can actually see through the water a bit. You can see that there's something very large moving around down there. And it could very well be a dragon.
I told Griffola and used to, that potion.
Wait, what?
The potion, the box. Where's the box?
Here.
I'll take it. I'll open it. I'm like, everybody, take a drink, and I'll toss you in.
How about you go in first?
He says,
We'll
before
follow
you
you."
go in the water, you might want to tie a line in. And he's like, here, tie some rope to you so you can get back up easier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, shouldn't we just send one person first with the rope on them, and then 3 tugs on the rope to pull them up real quick, and then they can report back what they see.
Sure, who wants to go in first? I don't exactly have armor.
Well, aren't
About
you the
50.
strongest?
Who's the most
Who's the
perceptive?
strongest? I am. So
Yeah, how much do you like water, cat?
water's fine. I spent once on a boat. Let's do it.
Just stay here. I'll go in. So I'll take a swig of the potion and put it in the little chest and give it back to Grifola. I'm like, if y'all decide to come in, y'all need to take a drink of this. So I'll start tying myself off.
So, Natea, you're going down by yourself at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you tie yourself up. Excuse me. And the ship captain, he actually helps you with the knot to make sure that you've got it proper. And he says, if you need to release it, you can just pull on this, and it'll release the hitch on it, so you can come loose should you get caught up with it. But otherwise, you just give a tug, and we'll pull you back up. And he actually wraps it around some kind of large winch looking thing that he's got.
Okay. I got it. So I'll slowly climb over and then let go.
All right, sploosh, you go in, and as you go in, he says, and he looks over to Grifola and says, this does remind me, back when I was a boy, there was actually a bit of a battle. There's about here. I was in a ship that was actually docked over there. There was another vessel about here. I wouldn't doubt that the ruins of that thing are still below us. There was an invading force here that we sunk their pirate ship, as it is. I was just a boy at the time, loading the powder charge, but
Oh, so maybe the boat might have some valuables on it?
he says, "Oh, I don't know about that, but
I mean,
usually any kind of salvage is pretty much taken care of in here. But I think it's about this place, so I wouldn't be surprised if she sees some interesting things down there."
So I'm just wondering if this is the motivation for our scaly draconic friend to be rooting around in the water.
He says, well, who knows what? They've all got their own motivations. If it be a dragon, maybe it's something else. Could be an aboleth. That would be unfortunate.
Did you see it? I mean, that looked like a dragon to me.
He says, well, I can't see I've seen many dragons, to be honest. I'm mostly all about the sea creatures. But anyway, and he's just making sure that the rope is going properly down. And you are currently going down rather quickly in the water, Natea. Are you wearing your armor? Are you wearing your chain?
No, I put it in the chest.
Okay. He gave you a weight that is tied to the rope to help you with sinking a little bit easier. So it's tied on there as well. You can easily release that if you need to, but it is helping you to sink rather quicker. And you do see what seems to be a dragon swimming around some kind of shipwreck down there. Now, here's the thing, though, is that you've taken the potion, but you have yet to actually try breathing underwater.
Yeah. I would think I also asked Smoke for one of his crappy daggers to take with me just in case and kind of put
My
it in my
daggers
belt.
are.
Also,
Ones that
we
were
totally
random
agreed there was
there.
no dragon stabbing.
Alright, I'm gonna attempt to breathe. I'm gonna let out my breath and try to.
Okay, so a bunch of bubbles get blown out, and you take in the water, and it kind of is a little bit of a at first a really heavy cough, but nothing happens instead, And it strangely is like really heavy air, like really humid air is what it feels like you're breathing.
So, August in Texas.
Something like that, yeah. So it seems to be working. It's not the most pleasant feeling, but you're able to manage it. And due to the equalization of the liquid in your lungs at this point, you don't feel the pressure on you of going down any further. It actually seems to be kind of releasing a bit of that. You don't feel the compression on your chest as much. So those that are up on the ship, you see a whole bunch of bubbles come up.
You sure she's okay?
She's still going down.
Maybe
Yeah.
she just got eaten.
No, then we see blood.
You now see red water. No, I'm kidding. Side effect of the potion. No. All right. So, Natea, you actually drop down and you're probably about 50 feet. You land and you hit bottom. It's a bit silty, but it's still pretty firm, actually. And you can see that there is a shipwreck about 50 feet in front of you on the harbor floor. And there seems to be a large bronze dragon that is currently like perched upon it with what you think you can see, because you're underwater. It's a little bit blurry. It seems like it's got its head in the wreck, so it doesn't even see you at this point.
Oh, okay. So I'm just like shaking my head, like thinking that's not something you see every day.
It's ostrich.
Right? Water-breathing paladins? Yeah, I agree.
I'm just picturing like somebody surprising the dragon and him like pulling his head up with the boat still stuck to him.
I guess I'm gonna slowly walk towards the shipwreck and hope this dragon doesn't see me.
Okay. All right. So walking slowly towards the shipwreck is not a problem. You're walking at at best 1/4 speed. Due to how slow it is moving through the silt and with the weights and in water, and yeah. So you're able to approach, and it looks like it on occasion reaches a claw, a foreclaw into the wreckage, and it's kind of like pawing around in there. I need you to make a perception check at this point. Nice. Okay. So you can see that the wreck has been there for some time, probably around 40 years, 50 years, maybe more, maybe less, but for some time. It's rather well aged. It's not a lot there, but you can actually see that there seems to be some shiny down in there. You don't know if it's your angle or what, but you do see something shiny in the wreck itself, and you are able to get all the way up to the dragon. It is now about 10 feet from you.
Okay. Can I look? Is there any way for me to get into this wreckage without disturbing this dragon?
It looks a little bit precarious, and the way into what it is, it's more like what there is of it is kind of like a big nest of sorts. If you were to describe it, like the shell of the ship is mostly intact, and it's perched on the edge of it, reaching down into it. So you'd have to kind of go over the edge of the ship to get into it. You don't see any ways in, though you can see that there are some small openings, and that's where you saw something shiny. And it is, this dragon is probably a little bit bigger than a horse, just to give you an idea.
Oh, it's big, just bigger than a horse. It's not a huge dragon.
Right, it's a large dragon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it does seem to be a shiny metal dragon, probably a bronze one. Difficult to tell under the water, but most likely.
Okay, so I am going to attempt to try to kind of move away a little bit and climb up this thing.
Okay.
Get in. No, not the dragon, the ship.
The dragon, the dragon.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride on top of the dragon. You're gonna see me come out. Woohoo! Yeah, no.
New pet.
All right. So, upon you actually, so you're touching the edge of the ship, yes, to climb up it.
Yes.
Okay. So upon you just touching it, the dragon like suddenly lurches. Its head comes up, and similar to what Kashka described, part of the ship is in its mouth, like a board or something like that, maybe two. Seems to be in its mouth, not like it was destroying the boards, just like they're in its mouth. And it looks over at you, and it just kind of is like surprised and like swims backwards a little bit, and just kind of like is looking at you very interestingly, not realizing it still has these boards in its mouth right now.
Ooh, I'm gonna be like, whew. I'm gonna hold my hands up, like, you know, and I'm gonna try to see if there's a crack that I can get into to reach whatever the shiny thing is, and maybe I can bring it up, hold it up for it.
No cracks are large enough. You'd probably have to go into the wreck itself.
Okay. Okay, I'll look for, like, move, you know, I'm not that I can move fast. I'm gonna move around and see if I can find the opening, and I'll kind of point down, and like an idiot, I'm gonna talk to it and be like, I can get that for you. Don't eat me.
And it comes out as...
Yeah. I'm gonna try to get into it to see if I can maybe get whatever the shiny thing is it's after.
And the dragon is like kind of looking at you with a tilted head, and it actually realizes it's got planks in its mouth, and it reaches to the planks with its front claw and just pulls them out, and it follows the rope up above you, and it then kind of takes both of its claws and does one of these, and keeps looking up above you.
Oh man.
I need those people above. I need the people above to make a perception. Seems to be the number one thing to roll for anything these days.
Perception.
Yeah, I can't see nothing.
Me neither.
There is a cloud in the sky that is causing a big glare.
I'm listening to this guy's stories, like, ooh,
Wow.
Alright.
All right, yeah, even he's distracted, so.
We're not even looking at the rope anymore. We're sitting
She's
around.
fine. She's fine.
Okay, I don't know what to do.
It seems to be motioning for you to back away.
Yeah, I'll back up a little bit from it, you know, and kind of, you know, still point to the ship, you know. I'm still gonna try to talk to it because I don't know if it can understand me or not. And I'll back up, you know, a little bit and point and be, you know, tell it I can help you get that.
Okay. Actually, hold on one second. Let's see if it has. No, it doesn't. So the dragon actually comes really close to you. It seems to be able to swim really well, like as easily as it would be for a very fast person to run. And it swims right up to you, and it puts its claw, like one of its fingers, across your mouth, and then it points up with the other one. And then starts like slowly trying to come up and kind of like motioning for you to come up with it.
Okay, I follow it. I guess I have to undo that block, right, to go up.
And as you're like, you start trying to swim up, and you realize that you're kind of weighted down, and you're starting to fumble with it. The dragon just kind of like grabs your rope and starts pulling you up with it.
I'm like, okay. I'm still on the rope, like,
and you guys,
I don't get the bins from this.
all right, you guys above, one more round of perception checks.
Is there really any point in me rolling? Just... Nope.
Nope.
No.
Okay. Only with advantage does it work for you. All right. So, what did I roll? Actually, did it not roll? I don't think it did. No, I did. Okay. So the captain's still talking about the battle that happened or whatever like that, and Raven was your character's name, Vern.
And Smoke.
Yeah, Vern and Smoke both do see. It looks like the bronze dragon is on top of the spot where Natea is, and seems to be getting bigger and coming up. And the rope has gone slack. Completely slack.
It's eaten her.
I think something's coming up. We might want to tighten the rope a bit.
Should we prepare for battle?
And the captain's like,
Probably
oh,
not.
and he starts like winding the winch really quick, which it still doesn't seem to be fast enough. The rope is still getting slack. In fact, him winding it, it's coming off the pulley because it's so slack, and it seems to be even coming up a little bit with it. But within a few seconds, a bronze dragon face comes out of the water, splash right next to the ship, right where the rope is, and it looks at everybody over the edge, probably all of you looking back at it as well, having not seen a bronze dragon this close before, and the ship captain even looks a bit like, a little unsettled by it.
Told you
But-
it was a dragon.
Pretty shiny.
But you hear the dragon say, "Oh, I almost forgot," and it like pulls up one of its claws and grabs onto the side of the ship and like kind of starts trying to help Natea get up into the ship. And the ship itself starts like going a little bit as it's like kind of grabbing onto it and trying to help you get up into it.
I just like, whew, thanks for the help, dragon.
And it actually seemingly smiles and says, "Not a problem."
See, I told you.
Like, I was like, so, since we're
Pretty
we all,
shiny.
yeah. I'm still a little shocked that it actually talks back. I was like, so, what are you doing around here? By the way, you seem a little out of place.
And he says, "So do you."
Yeah, I will agree there. I do agree there. You don't see a weird swimming naked paladin often. Well, we were just sent out here to check and see what's going on. I mean, we had reports of people getting spooked by you, so we just wanted to check you out. And of course, it's not every day you see something as majestic as a bronze dragon.
I need you to make an insight check. Okay. So the dragon says, "Who are you?"
I'm like, my name is Natea. I am just the little, we kind of help the city out, keep watch of people.
It seems almost playful in its response, and it kind of like rocks the ship a little bit by accident, and because it raised one of its claws to put it on its own chest, and it's grabbed onto the side of the ship with the other and says, "I'm Zelifarn." And it...
Really nice to meet you, Zillifar. I'm like kind of picking up on it being playful. I'm like, you guys, entertain it.
And it says, "Have you come to give me some treasure?" And it's got its head tilted and starts looking each person over.
We actually left our treasure at home, but I saw you had an interest in something down there, which is, since you couldn't understand me, I was trying to let you know I could help you get what you were after down there.
I pull a
If you
pastry
would
out of my
like.
pocket. Offer a pastry.
And it kind of cocks its head to the other side at this point. And it reaches over with a claw, and the one that it was previously placing upon its chest, which actually is the other hand, but that's kind of pinned. So it reaches over and tries to take the item from you. Hold on a second. Let's see how dexterous is this thing.
I say
And
I can chuck it if
okay, it's
that's
able.
easier.
It is able to carefully take it from you, and it just kind of like holds it up and. Is this for me?
Yes.
And he. That's not the treasure I was talking about.
It's the best I got.
What's that?
I say it's the best I got.
It says, well, I'm just looking for some. I need to make my own home.
Oh, I see. Well, I'll tell you what. I saw you were after something really nice and shiny down there. I
And
can help you get that if you'd like it, and to take to wherever you want to make your new home.
it says, I think I can handle that. But why are you here? It's not to give me a pastry. It looks over at Griffola.
If you're looking for a home, you could come live with us.
No,
Nothing big enough for that.
I think it would be best for me to live elsewhere. This place is occupied. And then it gives a big push off the ship and jumps back into the water. Big sploosh. Kind of covers half of you with water. And it swims back down again.
I just wave, bye, Zillifer.
So the feeling that you got from it, Natea, as you were doing most of the conversing with it, was that it's pretty much just here gathering some loot and then on its way.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you got from that.
Yeah, I just tell everybody else, I'm like, there was something really shiny in that ship. I didn't know that. Did y'all know there was a shipwreck down there?
We just found out.
There's something really shiny, and it was after, and I was going to try to help it, but then it was weirded out on me and brought me up here, which was nice, because I didn't think y'all were strong enough to take me out of the water.
While you're saying that, the captain says, "Weigh anchor," and he's like trying to
Wait. No.
trying to get the anchor up at this
give me
point.
the potion. I want the shiny.
No,
Yeah, seriously.
no, I don't think that'd be a good idea. I think it might actually eat you. I think we should go back and report, and that way they can keep an eye. They can keep an eye
That's
on
so
it.
boring.
Yeah, we're not experienced enough to fight dragons. And I don't wanna
We don't have to fight
water.
it.
You know what water dragons do? Hey, Mr. Captain Guide, water dragons, what kind of attacks do they have? Red is fire, blue
He says,
is water.
"All I know is dragon, good, bad, or otherwise. You never want to piss him off. We should get out of here."
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to try to take its treasure that it's after. So yeah, I think we should go back.
But we could maybe like a little bit for it, a little bit for us.
No,
You know?
I don't think that's a good idea. If you know dragons, they don't want to share. By the way, can you take one of your little pieces of paper out and jot down that we found bronze dragon, its name, and that it will be leaving as soon as it retrieves its piece of treasure it's after.
I say, well, I can't really write because I'm holding on to this chest of potions, and I kind of like shuffle a piece of paper and some ink and a quill out of my pocket.
I just
and
grabbed the chest of potions out. I'm like, I'll hold it right here in
No.
front of you. You have to write.
No, you write it.
Nope,
I'm not letting go.
I'm gonna hold him over the edge. I'm like, you write the paper. Or the
I'm not letting go.
No. Hold on. So, she never let go. So you have to make a dexterity check to try and basically an opposed dexterity for trying to snatch it out of her hand.
Oh.
Okay. So therefore, you try snatching it, and she goes, no, and she like whoosh, whips it right behind her back real quick. So you aren't able to get it from her. You're trying to. You're like,
Fair
give it
enough.
here,
Oh,
and she's.
I'm wet and slick, so yeah. I'm like, just write the paper, please.
I can take the chest.
No, just write the paper. That's all we need is somebody to write this paper. I'm wet, I'm naked, and I'm just gonna go put my stuff on.
At this point, the captain says, "You know what? We can write papers when we get back to shore. Would you help me lift the anchor, please? I could use a hand."
Yeah, I'll go over and help with the anchor. I'm like, write the paper.
He's like, look, if you all want to come back out here later, I'm
here.
sure the dragon will be gone.
Yeah, and so will all the treasure. Vern, help me out here.
No treasure for none of y'all, because you won't write the paper. You're all grounded to the tavern when it's done.
Fine, I'll write it.
I tell the captain, by the way, we're opening a tavern. You're more than welcome to come once it's open. Troll Skull Manor. I'll let you know.
He's like, wind faster.
I'll take the paper and stuff and write it.
Moving the winch.
I'm just helping him pull the anchor.
Okay. So you guys, he lifts the anchor up and takes you guys back towards shore with a little bit more haste than what you got out there with. And he says, well, I hope that satisfies everything that you needed. And
Nope.
There you go. And he's kind of like trying to get you off his ship at this point. Excuse me. Don't forget your items that you stowed.
Yeah, definitely. I won't definitely forget.
I wouldn't want you coming back and needing. I mean, if you forgot anything. So yeah.
I'm taking the potions out of the little chest and putting them in my pack.
Okay. Are you doing it stealthily?
No.
Okay. Okay. And you also did you do anything with the papers, or do you still have the paper birds?
I didn't do anything with them.
Okay. Would you have taken them from Vajra? I guess I'd never realized that because she was handing them out to you. Or would you have just left it?
No, I would have taken them.
Okay. So are you guys writing any letters at this point, or are you just heading back to...
Yeah, I'll write the letter. Give him
Okay.
the name of the dragon that is just collecting loot for his little nest, and then it'll be on it.
Okay. Would you be, like giving one of the papers? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then the paper is given. You write a note, pretty much what Natea said. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Excuse me. And then you guys just heading back to Troll Skull for now, or what? Heading back to the bar. I guess?
Yawning portal.
Yawning portal. Okay. So I'll tell you what. There isn't too much at this point going on, so I might do a quick fast forward to lay the grounds for the next episode here. Time goes by over the next several days. You're able to get, some more people hired in for the potential thing. Bonnie keeps up with you guys, letting you know her progress. Turns out she didn't need any of her sister's help after all, so she's just got a bunch of people that you have for hirelings, and everything goes on schedule. No reports of any ghost. And Rainer stops by every now and then, just checking in on everything. Volo checks in with you guys, and day finally comes where everything is complete, and you guys are ready to move back in to Trollskull Manor. Upon doing so, Grifola, you are told by Bonnie that a dark, she said, a Svirfneblin came in here looking for you.
I say, whoops.
But it wasn't a Svirfneblin. He told me to tell you it was a Svirfneblin. I don't understand.
Okay. Can you tell me any more?
She says, well, he said he'd see you at your home? I can only... He seemed to understand that you might be living at Trollskull Manor?
Wait, so this Svirfneblin who was not a Svirfneblin came into the yawning portal?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He came in last night while you were sleeping. just asked me to deliver the message.
How
But
did you?
he asked me to be quiet about it.
How did you know that he was not a Svirfneblin?
He told me to tell you that. I don't understand the message. He told me to deliver the message. I'm sorry.
And he said he's going to meet me at Trollskull?
He said he would meet you at your home. That's what he told me to tell you. He said I was a little confused. I wrote it down.
I leave immediately for Trollskull.
All right. Do you take everybody with you?
What time of day is it now?
It would be first thing in the morning.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna say, well, if y'all want to go with Griffola, if not, I'm gonna go to the tower and make sure they got our letter. Whoever wants to go where.
You would have gotten confirmation for that. Sorry. And later on, you guys would have been told that the dragon it was not considered a threat, and it did end up leaving the harbor just yesterday.
Okay. Like a Griffola, do you want us to go with you?
So Griffola seems like really distracted, and she's just like, I have this errand to run. I'm just gonna go to Trollskull. I think I've forgotten about somebody. So I need to go see them.
Okay. Bye.
And Bonnie said, "Oh, so he was. I think he was a rock gnome, but he said he was. Yeah, I don't understand. But anyway, there you go."
Okay. So I'm like, cart, go fast.
So who all's going to Trollskull? Everybody? Anybody? Okay, everybody. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll go.
All right. So you guys head down, and cart drops you off. Trollskull looks fabulous. You guys have been keeping up with it. Everything is pretty much pristine. You guys got a really good deal. Really good job. It was done. You were all just kind of waiting for the last of the paint and stuff to dry inside overnight last night, as the last people were in there and cleaning up all the last stuff. And you also all now have like your own bedrooms and whatnot in there. You can pick those in between the next session and whatnot. You can get out, and there's your usual lots of people on the street walking around and stuff. And y'all start heading up towards the manor itself. And Kashka, I need you to make a perception roll for Griffola.
God damn it. Why, Balin?
Well, here's the thing, though, and it's gonna seem like I wasn't gonna do this, but you have advantage on this because you know what you're looking for, and that is pretty much a rock gnome, and you're able to see one across the market, across the street, basically down the road, and seems to be running towards you. You catch it, you think, "Is this him?" And the name of your friend comes to mind, Dalakhar, and it could be him. You're not sure because he was a Svirfneblin when you saw him before, but you also see something else. There seem to be other people nearby that seem to be accompanying him. They're hustling towards Trollskull, and there also seems to be some kind of like small glassy bead between you and him that's just hovering in the air in the middle of the marketplace. Before anybody can react, explosion goes off. So, like, ringing ears, huge burst of flames.
Our newly remodeled place.
Seriously. R.I.P. Trollskull.
It's in the middle of the street in front of Trollskull. Some of the ground itself is chunked away. Several people are killed outright. At least that's what it looks like. And among them, might be Dalakhar. And that's where we're going to end it. So,
One reminder.
yes,
Who is Dalakhar?
that's for others to find out potentially in the future. So, there we go. Hope everybody enjoyed today's session. It should be ramping up for Chapter 3 starting next week. Or if it's next week. Next time, yes. Thank you, players and viewers coming out.
You're an evil man.
I am an evil man.
Like who Dalakhar is.
And we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.